As of the time I am writing this script, my previous video, the Sakasa Theory, is sitting at 1.1k views, which to me is absolutely batshit insane. I wasn't expecting people to be so receptive to the video, and I'm now nearing 100 subscribers, which is just really awesome. I'm really grateful for all the love that was shown in my first Hanako-kun video, and so I've decided that I'm interested in continuing making Toilet Fan videos, starting with Chapter 79. I'd appreciate anybody who is interested to please subscribe and turn notifications on so that they can see any of the other videos that I put out in the future. Now to the meat of the video. With Chapter 79 having come out last month, the theory previously proposed has all but been proven correct. In this chapter, Teru and Akane visit the head priest of the shrine the Yugi family had previously visited, Nagisa Kunishige. Teru explains the relationship between the exorcist and the shrines to a fairly befuddled Akane. Mr. Kunishige is quite the character and is quite unhappy when a call from Ko interrupts their talk. Akane steps aside and takes it, only to hear a loud, ear-piercing screech and garbled, staticky noises. Then it speaks to him. It requests that he, by name, makes a wish, so similarly to what our young Tsukasa had experienced in the playroom. Teru shuts off the phone, asking who exactly was just calling him. When he is told it was Ko, his face hardens, but does not meet the level of fear shown on the priest's face. He asks why he got a call from that kid, and what he had done to be cursed, confusing the boys. After being prompted, he explains. Back when he was a junior priest, many decades ago, a woman had arrived at the shrine with her young son. He had disappeared on his birthday over half a year ago. He had miraculously reappeared to them. At first, the mother had been overjoyed at her son's return home entirely uninjured. It was a miracle, after all, but then she came to a terrible realization. This was not her child at all. They look the same, but he has been replaced by something entirely different on the inside, she had wept to him, clinging to the priest reverently as she begged that he return him to normal. However, the child seemed all but normal, and thus they had come to believe that it was the mother who was in a state, that she was hysterical and mentally ill, believing her son had been replaced by an evil doppelganger. This isn't right. This is not my child. He must be possessed by something evil. They had called the doctor, and as they did, a much younger Kunishige had approached the child, who was drawing in the dirt with a stick. He asked what the boy was drawing, friendly as all can be. After all, it surely must be tough to live with a mother like that. But his eyes are blank. All he does is repeat his name, slowly, before jabbing a finger in the man's direction, declaring his wish would come true the next day. Perhaps a bit surprised, a little unnerved, there's little to think of what a child says, yes? That was, however, until the next day, when the head priest had dropped dead so suddenly. He was a no-good priest, would insult and belittle those around him, misuse the shrine funds. The death was ruled to be accidental. However, many years later, the entire family died, a group suicide. Never since that gruesome incident, any who involves themselves with that house dies. It was their grandmother who had forbidden anyone from entering the cursed house, so, naturally, Kunishige is fairly alarmed to know that someone is messing with it. The priest had stormed off to report this to Teru and Ko's father, leaving Teru and Akane alone locked in the room. Teru simply slumps to the floor, exhausted. Teru explains that Kunishige is a descendant of the Misaki family, the teacher of which Number 2 had loved so dearly, and all of the previous Misaki shrine items are stored in this new one for safekeeping. They may be able to cross back into the boundary using those items. Teru laments about the sacrifices he's made as a Minamoto, complaining about how he has planned to have the priest show him the old stuff has failed. In fact, Ko had even asked what he would do if he were to become a supernatural, shocking him into a stupor. He tried to be polite with the man, but it hadn't worked whatsoever. Akane used this as an opportunity, of course, to get a good few jabs in on Teru, but Teru turned that around on him easily. Teru reveals he has a dream, revealing that Aoi is a necessary part of that dream of his, and knowing Akane rather deeply. After telling the blonde teen he'll go save Aoi on his own and tell her how worthless he was in helping her, he gathers himself back up, slashing through the door with his katana, going through the shrine like a hurricane, and stealing the family heirloom, meaning they are now ready to enter the boundary once more. It's a lot to take in, and to me, what stands out most is the mention of a family suicide. I believe that since it's shown that Tsukasa can cause and manipulate death, perhaps Tsukasa could have killed Amane's family, which drove him to kill Tsukasa and then himself, to which afterwards the supernatural manipulated the scene to make it look like they'd all committed suicide together. I think this is really interesting, and it's slightly curious why Tsukasa wouldn't have, if this is correct, simply manipulated the scene into looking like it was Amane who'd killed them all. That surely would have been a terrible shot at him, because while he'll still be dead, he'd forever be known as the boy who'd killed his entire family. Now, instead, it could be said that perhaps parents bore the main responsibility for both the twins' deaths, since they were the adults in the situation, and presumably would have led such an act. I really hope that the question could be answered in later chapters, and we could perhaps see the entire situation play out, since we've only caught glimpses in the past. I also wonder if Teru's dream has something to do with Aoi's bloodline as an Akane, or if he really does hold genuine feelings for her. I honestly can't say either way, because Teru really must be the most mysterious character out of the bunch due to his closed-off, superficial personality. It was an amazing chapter, as usual, and for the most part I believe that that's all I really have to say, honestly. Some questions were answered while others were proposed. Overall, a very well-rounded and informative chapter. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you yourself have any theories or just things you'd like to have point out, please do so in the comments. I really love to hear them. And another sort of thing that I'd like to point out is I do make other videos. I'm making some on like bizarre, gruesome deaths and such, and Genshin Impact. I also want to make some videos for some other manga. So if there are other things that you're interested in seeing that are on my channel, I would really appreciate if you maybe checked it out. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching.